A very warm welcome to all of you. You're watching News9 Mediaverse and this is To The Point, and I'm going to take you to the fresh updates of what has happened in Manipur. It's not a new story, 120 days of violence, and now the fresh firing has taken place in Bishupur. 9 people were injured. Firing took place between the border areas of Kuki dominated Churachandpur and Maiti dominated Bishnupur. Reports are that one person died in the firing in the village of Narainsena. Assam rifle has been deployed. Meanwhile, Manipur Law and Education Minister Basant Kumar Singh held a press conference. So let him speak and let us hear what he had to say. Then we go into the story as to why firing took place and how sniper guns were used and why fighting continues what today is called the buffer zone. But let's listen in to Basant Kumar Singh first.
Assembly, which was to be held for the whole day. It was a very important and significant day for the state of Manipur, that the Legislative Assembly had to be held because of 6 months of the constitutional obligation also had to be overcome, and at the same time, more importantly, to discuss the important pressing issues which is happening in the state today. But as our Honourable Senior Minister had pointed out, as the Assembly session was convened and it started at 11 o'clock, before even the Honourable Speaker could say something, very unfortunately, the opposition members of the Congress did not even sit down, take their seats. They kept shouting, they kept disturbing, and our Honourable Leader of the House, Honourable Chief Minister of Manipur, he wanted, as per Rule 271 of the Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business, which is written here in this book, as per which the House is conducted, the Business Advisory Committee, which had decided on the order of the business of the day, can be changed orally by the Honourable Leader of the House as per this rule number 271. And as he got up to speak, there was a lot of disturbance, shouting, which was very unfortunate because the Honourable Chief Minister wanted to put to the people of the state as well as the country that here is a situation, besides leaving out all the matters which are involved in the judicial commissions, all other matters can be discussed, which can be discussed in the House. He was ready to discuss, and as he got up to read the resolution which was put forth by the government, there was so much of disturbance, but somehow he managed to put the resolution, and at the same time the noise continued, and this is in the same trend as what happened in Parliament recently, because over there also the Congress, their leaders, including Mr. Rahul Gandhi, as well as Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, the leader of the Lok Sabha, they were demanding President's rule. They were talking about Manipur being divided into two, which is very unfortunate because Manipur remains one. It cannot be divided. And these same manner.
Now let me come to the point. Brijesh, tell me, now isn't this a spilt milk, isn't this a over story? It's cyanide. They could have called a session for 7 days, 14 days, 15 days. Does it make any difference why it was cyanide? You have already cyanide it.
Well, I think, this is just an explanation as to why the situation within the assembly has come to a level where they had to go for cyanide. I think it's just a post facto explanation which is being given by the minister, because honestly speaking, I think, if the leadership of Manipur would have actually, have walked the talk, which we usually see, situation, at least, baby steps could have been taken towards having peace, or at least, making that initiative which can lead to some degree or some sort of peace between the two ethnicity could have taken. Unfortunately, nothing of that sort has taken place. When you announce a session for one day, I think, it is like an open invitation to the opposition to cry foul, to protest, because the fact of the matter is, Kartikeya, it's been 115 days of violence versus 11 minutes of assembly. I mean, I just don't know what could be a more sorry state of affairs.
The reason why we are doing this afternoon broadcast is, and first let me introduce the guests. We'll play out the visuals, the guns, we'll play out the vision of the weapons which have been recovered. I'm joined by Lieutenant Commander retired Firoza Devi ji. I am also joined by Dr. Guite, Associate Professor, Center for Social Medicine. I am also joined by Suhas Chakma ji, Director, Rights and Risk Analysis Group, and Major General Ashwani Srivastava. A very warm welcome to all of you. But today, what really disturbed me in morning was, and I was having this conversation even yesterday in my program, the firing which took place. The Bishupur firing, it's not a small thing, I don't want to treat the events of firing as episodic in nature. One reason, because the firing takes place at the buffer. Whether the firing takes place from the plain to the hill area or from hill area to the plain area is not important. What is important is that the sniper gun got used. One, which General Srivastava was talking about. Heavy weapons. Secondly, why are farmers being attacked? Is no one responsible for the economic security of Manipur? What will they eat? If you don't grow, what will they eat? I did a program with you, Brijesh, you recall that if this is the way the farming is affected, Manipur will have a crisis. You want that everything need to be imported by Manipur. Should it become a state where it is dependent on doles from the adjoining areas?
True.
And then, in this firing, the reports are one. Some reports are saying 2 people passed away, so I don't want to speculate. Manipur police has come out with a tweet, 130 nakas have been created. They have said that, so many weapons have been recovered. They have launched a massive operation. But the fact of the matter is that this so-called buffer zone has actually become a line of control. General Srivastava, I want to come to you. You were talking about this. Sniper gun is being used. You can get back these small weapons, but if you have these weapons with range of 1 to 2 kilometers, how are you going to stop this violence? Every third day you will have 2 people getting killed. Are we normalizing these episodic acts of violence, or are we normalizing in our narrative that everything has become peaceful in Manipur just because violence is taking place every 4th day? A new normativeness.
Yeah, no doubt about it. As far as the peace is concerned in Manipur, it cannot come back unless these weapons, which are about 7 to 8,000, which are there in the public, in the complete Manipur, are taken out. And if you just take out few pistols, it really doesn't make a difference. The weapons which are now which are missing from police armory were a sniper rifle, they were MP4, they were LMGs, and these are the heavy weapons which has a range about 2 to 3 kilometers. And sniper rifle is one which has a range between 1 to 2 kilometers. And second, it's a pinpoint. You can hit a chap from such a range with almost 100% accuracy. Now, the point what is happening is, unless you don't get these weapons, you will not find normalcy and peace to prevail. But not a very serious effort is being made. Unless you do not do a coordinated search operation, combing operation, these weapons are not going to come back. If you ask the public to return these weapons, they are not returning. They are reluctant to return because they think that tomorrow, in case the attack takes place, they can defend themselves. So the mindset is this. And what has been returned is a weapon with a very small range, like pistols. Those hardly make a difference in a situation like present one, which is in Manipur. So the question which is coming is, even buffer zone very rightly brought out, a buffer zone has been created between both the communities so that, there is a chance of peace prevailing. But that is also failing because, after all, if there is a sniper rifle which has a long range, and the farmers which are doing farming, and these are innocent farmers in the field, which will be giving you the grain in the Manipur, they are being targeted. I don't know what message are you sending it. As it is something like you are also blocking the national highway. These are the lifeline to Manipur. Your basic necessities are coming to Manipur through
General
these
Sawal, what
highway.
people have done, different communities have blocked different highways to choke the different communities. That's the worst part.
That's it.
You have competitive politics. You have here competitive politics of blocking the national highways. Firoza ji, I just want to come to you. Lot of people are writing here that AFSPA is required. I understand AFSPA is a very, very controversial thing, but I'll ask that question now because I want to take the question which is coming on our chat box. Do you think that the AFSPA should be imposed in all the areas?
Yes, sir. Armed Forces Special Power Act, it has been one of the controversial topics in Manipur, sir. I can say that I have been one of the victims. Like I can be considered as the victim also, and I can also considered as the person who has the experience of armed forces, sir. Presently, this is not the right time to discuss AFSPA, sir. Whenever we discuss a scenario, a war scenario, let's take the present mayhem as a war. So I'm not going into a discussion or countering a senior officer like General Saab, who had lots of experience, and I will be a baby in front of him. When we discuss the war, sir, we have a cause, we have episodes and results. Here in Manipur, we are denying the causes until and unless we accept the problem first. Like Mr. Kartikeya has just said that we are not ready to accept that there is conflict, there is war-like situation, and people are facing lots of problems. We are not accepting that by the Twitter handle and other government releases, sir. That's point number one, sir. Number two is we are not ready to accept the causes. Everybody is just talking about the episodes which are coming, and we are becoming in our self-proclaimed experts that this is the cause, this is the event. But sir, actually, this is not the right time to discuss about us. First thing first, we have to douse the flame first. The firing has to stop. AFSPA cannot stop it, sir. That is the same. Now also you can say that it is just like Armed Forces Special Power Act, because police system in Manipur is murdered, sir. Is there any state in India where police system is murdered? My question to everybody, the intelligentsias of this country, is there a state in India where the a particular police force, a state police force has been branded with a particular ethnic name, and it is not allowed to exercise in a particular place? That's my question, sir.
Okay.
And I don't think this is the right time to discuss about AFSPA or the
point
army
taken.
or
You are
any.
saying that this is not the right time to discuss AFPA. Dr. Guthe?
Yes, Kartikeya, thank you and good evening. Yes, if you are posing the same question to me, I would say that when it comes to the discussing about AFSPA, almost I would say the weapons which were being looted are concentrated in the Imphal Valley, and there is no AFSPA. In absence of AFSPA, security forces cannot carry out searches, right? So now we are in a typical situation where Manipur police is openly supporting the gun looters, and other forces do not have the power to recover.
That's an allegation.
The weapons.
That's an allegation.
Yeah, it's a kind of allegation because the 4 months.
That's your point of view. That's your point of view.
Yeah.
Your
That's
point
my
of view, not
of view.
News9 point of view. Yeah.
Exactly. What I mean to say is that the 4 months long violence which is going on, I would say it's beyond doubt. To me, it's a deliberate, attempt not to end the violence, and then the fresh violence been happening. So recovery of gun looks difficult as they are not being, as they are not only being, shielded by the civil
Are you
society.
saying that the
including
entire
the
security? Are you saying that the entire security grid should come under the officers of the Indian Army? Are you saying that?
I'm not exactly saying, but when we are talking about the fresh violence occurring, there is, sensibly to understand that if the arms which were looted are with the militants or the Métis terrorists, then this violence are supposed to happen. See, I just want to begin by just saying that, the cookies of volunteers, if you look at the media...
Dr. Guite, you have terrorists on both the sides.
They are both the sides, but they are not going anywhere, and they were guarding their villages in the hills. And there is, as you said, there is a buffer zone between the communities, and the sanctity of the buffer zone should be maintained at all cost.
But why is there a buffer zone? That is my point, Firoza ji, I will come to you, don't worry. Suhas ji, what is the sanctity of a buffer zone? Is there an LOC, or have we created a line of actual control in Manipur?
Well,
that, this is like when we say buffer zone, what have we done? And I want your comments, sir, because you were part of that debate. When I showed you the pictures of the gun, which had the range of 4 kilometers, now ANI and other wire agencies are reporting that a sniper gun was used. So it's not a joke. Sniper guns were deployed in the Battle of Stalingrad when the German offensive had to be stopped. Sniping is a very serious business in Indian Army. Sniping is something very, very serious. It's like pointed killing from 3 kilometers away. It's not a small thing.
Well, I think the buffer zone on division of the state administration had something which was decided by the Home Minister of this country when he had made a statement that, the Manipur police will look after the security in the Imphal Valley, and the Central Armed Forces and the Indian Army will look after the security situation in the hills. So this is a conscious decision of the government of India, and it has been continuing for a long time, and buffer zone actually comes out of it simply because whether we like or not like it, the Manipur police doesn't have the credibility to restore peace in the hill areas, and the Central Armed Forces do not have the same credibility in the Imphal Valley. So what has taken place is actual division or the de facto division of the state, and we are living in that situation. Of course, people talk about territorial integrity, people talk about, more autonomy, separate administration, whatsoever. But the fact remains, it's a separate administration, and the center doesn't have any political will. And the BJP as a political party doesn't have any political will to come out of it. So whether you bring Armed Forces Special Powers Act, you bring Unified Command, you impose Disturbed Areas Act, whatsoever, it requires such an amount of political decision, and that has not been forthcoming for the last 115 days. And with the current situation, it will not come up. And more so, apart from possibly your channel and actually the wire, none of the television channels in the country are actually discussing the situation in Manipur. So it has, in a way, the failed state of Manipur.
So I don't know about other TV channels, but both me and Brijesh know that Manipur is part of Union of India. And there is, you can take a direct flight to Manipur. And we also know that Manipur is a gateway to the Act East India policy of Narendra Modi, which was first enunciated by PV Narasimha Rao, Look East policy. Sir, both me and Brijesh also understand the unique contribution of Manipur in the world of music and literature and art. The all sort of expo functions are done abroad.
Sports also.
And sports also. Half of the items displayed come from Manipur. We also, I think, know that. And we have both travelled and covered elections. So in fact, the valley is as beautiful as the mountain area. And I at least had the privilege to go to More, cross across to Tamu, have fish and beer, and come back. But those were peaceful times, Chakma Sahab. Those were peaceful times.
Yes, I fully appreciate that. And what I was saying is, it is no longer in the debates. When that particular heinous video had come out, you could see that the entire country had come together, debated about the issue, and thereafter you could see there is a lull, and everybody is accepting a failed state in the midst of the country is an acceptable feature, and nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about 11 minutes of assembly session, and there are killings which are continuing today.
But Chakmaji, no one talks about sniper being used, a sniper gun. I am surprised that there is no debate. sniper. It's like in Kashmir theatre, it is not there. I don't recall any newspaper.
It's a mix of both. I mean, there is no serious political will to enforce to enforce a massive crackdown on anybody, irrespective of ethnicity, who has gun in his hand. You can't blame the citizen because they know that you have to have some sort of weaponry system in your hand to protect yourself. Otherwise, majority of this problem would have gone.
And Suhasji, even bombs were used in this violence, Bishnupur. Bombs were used.
I would say only one thing. If civilians in Kashmir had surrounded the paramilitary forces or the armed forces to release certain persons whom they had taken into custody, the reaction would have been brutal. There would have been massive crackdown, killings of civilian and etc. And here you have a situation where the Indian security forces have been instructed by the central government that even if you have to show your identity cards to the vigilante groups, imagine the impact. The army is being subjected to scrutiny by the vigilante groups, where the state has allowed and directed to actually, sovereignty of the state has been, put under the carpet of these vigilante groups. So sniper is a small incident. For me, I think what is more important is how could the Indian security forces, the police, whomsoever, they are supposed to verify the legality and illegality. Instead of that, you have the private individual checking, the identity cards of the security forces. So the state has collapsed. So, sniper rifles is nothing if you compare that the government itself, the sovereignty itself has collapsed. It doesn't exist in Manipur. And so that's why, snipers, bombs, or whatsoever, these are basically symptomatic of the collapse or non-existence of the state itself. So that's much more serious, and nobody discusses the issue with the seriousness. And because if we want to find a solution, at the end of the day, you require certain hard decisions. And those hard decisions, whether because you are siding with the Métis or you are siding with the Kukis or anybody else, one thing is clear, that the BJP government, the central government, and the government of the day in Manipur are not siding with India. They are not ensuring that sovereignty or the sovereign power of this state.
That's very well put, Mr. Chakma. That's very well put. Firoza Devi ji, I want to ask you one question. Brijesh, this side. Have we sublet the law and order situation and the process of verification to the vigilante groups? Because both sides, whether it is Meera Paibis who will check the identity cards.
Yes, sir. So we feel really bad when we see that the vigilante groups are checking the security guards' ID card and their identity in the country where they are securing their life. But sir, actually, what I would like to say is why it has happened. Now, even if we say that stop it, it's a chaos, sir. We cannot just say that stop it. We are not asking why it has happened. Okay, sir. Let's forget whatever had happened. Now, I'm not telling it's for the sake of telling. For time being, let's stop thinking about what had happened and what. Yesterday's episode, like you said, there was a firing. A farmer goes to his farm for
and Firoza ji, counter firing is taking place as we speak now. A counter firing is taking place. The firing took place from the Kuki side. Right now, the firing has taken place on the Métis side as we speak.
Yes, sir. Everybody is so my question is to the police system and also to the Indian security forces. We are very emotional when we speak about the Indian armed forces, and we are not ready to accept failure from their side, sir. Failure in the sense, and also I would like to reiterate that it is not the failure of the army, because army takes orders, sir. Now, sir, if you allow me, a civilian's point of view towards army is how a Jawan acts. A Jawan or an officer or a major or a captain cannot act on their own. You would have seen the videos which are viral on Twitter. Nobody answers. Some major sahib is using his pistol and doing some fun time with others. So civilian will see, look at us. Even a serving general is not allowed to speak what he wants without it is being cleared by somebody. What I feel is after reaching Manipur, everybody wants to do whatever they want to do. Like Mr. Chakma has just said, and I want to quote, he said state has collapsed. State has collapsed already, sir. I'm not here to pinpoint to somebody that you have done this, you have done that. How many intelligentsias from Kuki as well as Mita are ready to accept that this is our failure? My failure, your failure, let's clean our homes, and then we can think about coexistence. We all are behaving like an opportunistic beings, sir. That hurts a lot. Be it academicians from the universities.
Okay, Firoza ji, that
See
was
the
an emotional pitch. Firoza ji, that's an emotional pitch. Dr. Gita, I'm going to come back to you. Just stay with me. I just want to go to General Sivach and Chakma ji. General Saab, counter firing has happened. Same firing happened. Bishnupur, 1 dead, hospital, 9 injured. Now same place, counter firing is happening from the plain to the hills. Sir, what does it mean that wherever the firing is happening, is there no police? If the firing has happened, where is the surge and cordon operation? First the firing happens from one place, the same place fires back. I'm just, is this a, why is it being allowed? Why couldn't army have been allowed to go there? ये हो कैसे रहा है? I mean to say, if you were firing at a particular place for say in defense colony, and firing takes place, the first thing you do is you go inside the house and check people have weapons or not, and then you go to the place where the firing has happened. Then when the retaliation takes place, neither you are going there, why the firing is taking place. I mean, so in both the places, people are firing at each other in different intervals of time, which to me as a common person means at both places weapon remains intact after the episode of violence. Isn't that, sir?
Absolutely, absolutely. No doubt. See, time and again we are trying to bring out this issue. In case these weapons are still at large with the public, they are being used by both sides. And once a victim is from one side, then the firing takes from their side, and then the victim is from the other side. Now, this is a vicious circle which is going on. So, what the solution lies, of course, people on ground must be acting as per the order which are given. There are two communities, which is Metis and Kuki. There is a distrust between them, and this buffer zone has been created. Enlarge this buffer zone that the people from either side should not able to now fire at each other. And the second thing is carry out cordon search operation in both these areas. Whether it is a Metis area or Kuki area, the weapons are on the both sides, and therefore this cordon search operation need to be done. Whether it is done by Assam Rifle, done by army or by the police, that you have to take a call there. But the security forces which carry out a cordon search and combing operation, they must able to take out these weapons. The problem here is the weapon first. We must identify what is the real problem. As on today, due to mistrust, in case these weapons are still at large society, the violence level will not reduce. And hence, there is a requirement of proper combing operation to be done on either side and try to take these weapons. A sniper rifle, very rightly brought out 2 to 3 kilometers, which is being used on line of control on the either side by Indians and Pakistani. And they were so effective. Even in a bunker, it can go and hit the soldier. And here the farmer which is on the field, because he has to perform his ritual in case, tomorrow the harvest has to take place. If we resort to such type of firing, what message are we sending? That tomorrow there will be drought in Manipur, there will be no sort of grain which will be coming. So the question
General Sivach, this is the gun.
What is the problem?
General Sivach,
Yes, this gun is very, very effective. And remember that the best of the weapons,
2 to 4 kilometers,
which we can think of it, they are available to the militant groups in Manipur.
जरा इसके बारे में बताइए कितना फायर कर सकती है? इसकी रेंज
this range has almost about 2 to 3 kilometers, and it is very effective. It is a pinpoint target. Then the question comes is that if this sort of weapons are with the common public, they can create havoc. So until unless you should not get these weapons back from society, the peace will not prevail, and no one is ready to give it. What they have given is basically pistol, which is no more a weapon which are being used by the opposing side. So the question comes is, if we are interested in bringing the peace and reduce the violence, first and foremost thing is seal the border between India and Myanmar, carrying on combing operation both sides of the buffer zone, ensure these weapons are taken out from the society. And once you have taken out these weapons, then the next step can prevail, the peace will come. There are this thing. Until unless this does not happen, on small trigger, you find these weapons are used by either side.
You know,
And
Suhasji, yes,
it
Suhasji,
is a vicious circle.
Suhasji, you remember the magazines in the 1980s when the Purnia arms drop took place? The conscience of the nation, it stirred the conscience of the nation. Thousands of guns. You know, the whole Indian establishment went on alert. The Prime Minister went on alert. The West Bengal government went on alert. It's a mystery. The gentlemen, yes, the people who were actually flying the plane, they all left the country. One gentleman still continues to live in Copenhagen, in Denmark. The point I am referring to the Purnia arm drop is it's not as if Indian state has not witnessed guns being dropped on the soil, but here the guns have been taken away. So my question to you is, when we understand that then such heavy weapons will perpetuate violence, what vested interest does it serve, Chakma Sahab, for it to remain there? Whose vested interest is this?
Well, I think even in the Purulia arms drop case, we had our own interest, because if we didn't have the interest, the guys would not have been let off. And today, even we are willing to, harm our diplomatic relations with Denmark to get back the fellow. Anyway, that's a different issue. I think the problem which arose on 3rd of May to the 6th of May, when the government of India had decided, and which became more and more unclear whether they imposed Article 355 of the Constitution of India, that question remains valid. I think the key point is not the recovery of the weapons. A key point is not anything else except the political will. Because ultimately, if you do not have the political will, nobody is going to take actions. So what we have been missing from the beginning till today is the absence of political will, and nobody knows why is the reason, or what are the reasons for not, taking political decisions. That government of the day has to take action. So there is absence of political will from the central government. There is absence of political will from the state government. Therefore, the situation continues. Now, if there is a political will, obviously, the army can crack down very easily. And in the screenshot which you are showing, they are arresting NSA, NIM, and etc. Or the arms which they are recovering, and the nakas which they have put. Look, the conflict in Manipur is not like in plain land, where you put nakas and you can, restore the law and order situation. It's in the hills, it's inaccessible. People don't want to put their real lives at risk. And more so when you have a contrary instruction. The instruction to the armed forces, the central government, is do not use firearms against civilians, because that will create another problem. So what they are trying to do is basically ignore the problem. And that will continue. If you continue to ignore this problem, my fear is we might meet the next year and this kind of sporadic killings still take place, because there is simply no political solution which New Delhi is looking at. I have followed all the conflicts very well. I almost know almost all the key actors, both from the government side as well as the opposition group side, armed group side. The issue is you are not going to find a solution where you have the NSA and IM involved, or other Naga armed groups involved. You do not, and the Kuki armed groups are involved, and the government of Manipur, and of course the Meitei groups both.
Yeah, I'm very afraid of this. I'm very afraid of prevarication. I'm reading Neerja Chaudhary's book on how prime ministers act, how prime ministers think, and there is a chapter on Narasimha Rao Brijesh on to prevaricate on things. And the conclusion is he prevaricated so much that the Babri Masjid fell. And he couldn't take the decision. So when you prevaricate so much, when you prevaricate so much, when you think too much about an issue, when you think again and again about an issue without taking an action, the problem doesn't go away. It compounds and becomes a different creature.
I think, we have to also understand that whether you are using prevarication as a subtext for, or as a subterfuge for something else. Are you just using it as an excuse? Because prevarication is understandable in a situation where, you know, you have to consult or go for, to make sure that the situation gets normal. Babri Masjid demolition and all was a completely different ball game altogether. What is happening in Manipur is a completely different ball game.
But Narasimha Rao was thinking.
No, Narasimha, many people have other, Mani Shankar Iyer said that Narasimha Rao was the first BJP Prime Minister in this country. So there are many who believe that he used prevarication to allow this thing to happen.
Okay.
That is
that I'm taking a lead from that. See, that's the whole point.
It,
how much time do you need to think? You have an Indian army.
Yeah.
They have the experience of tackling insurgency. You have system in place. So why prevarication? Why do you think so much, Dr. Gwete? Let me put it this way. People think that, you know, JNK is just an issue of law and order. When I talk to people in army, men in uniform say that it's not a law and order problem. It's a people issue and politicians need to solve it, you know. And they exercise, men in olives exercise that honesty. So today I'm asking you, is it a law and order problem or has it become a people's problem today in Manipur? Dr. Gwete.
Yeah, I would begin by saying that, see, when it's a people's problem, when your house is on fire, you don't wait for the fire brigade to come and you try to douse off the fire, right? And then later on the whatever mechanism to intervene that happens. So now, if you ask me about the people's problem or the law and order problem, it has, since the 4-month-long violence which is happening, I would say that, like the saying goes, Rome is not built in a day. So similarly, the violence was also not happening. It was not just something which just happened on 3rd May, and this is what prolonged till this time, which is more than 4 months now. Here, when we say that law and order's problem, yeah, there is a failure of the law and order problem of the by the state government. Otherwise, the manifestation which we are seeing on the ongoing violence, where we see that the looted arms are not yet recovered, and which is happening and which is dangerous, not even only among the between the Kuki and the Meitei. It's even dangerous among the Meitei themselves or among the Kuki themselves. So here, when we look at the political, there is a key to political issues which has emerged out of this entire violence is the Meitei's hunger for land and the Kuki demand for the separate administration. So these two political issues are very critical when we talk about the political will of the central and the state government, as Chakma has pointed out. And also, I would like to bring to light the concern which the earlier panelist was talking about, the paddy field and the buffer zones. Like, see, some of the paddy fields, they are lying in the buffer zones. Like, keeping aside the law and order situation, it's beyond doubt, it's a failure of the law and order situation, which is why the violence is still continuing. And when we talk about the ground realities of having a buffer zone and then how the paddy fields are lying in those buffer zones, you see that, you know, farmers can do their cultivation, but with proper pre-information. Like, if the Meitei are allowed to do farming in their fields, then the Kuki should also be allowed to return to their fields. So the question is, why is this partiality? One, which is related to the paddy fields and the buffer zones. And you also mentioned about sophisticated weapons like the sniper rifles, the
but that
grenade
doesn't, Dr.
launchers.
Gwete, that doesn't give right for anyone to shoot. If farmers don't do the job, what will people eat?
I'm coming to the point. Why it is what is the root cause of why this shooting each other, killing each other are still happening? So you see that here earlier you were saying that you are accusing the police, the Manipur police. Manipur police I'm not accusing. It's the media reports from and whatever the talks which has been going on, either in the print or in the audio or in the visual media, that we see that the police is accused to let the weapons be stolen and not a single round is fired. and not a single person is injured. So these are the basic questions which we need to engage, which clearly reflect that there is a failure of the law and order situation in the state.
Okay.
And the larger question, why is it still continuing that? So there is a deliberate attempt on the part either in Delhi or in Imphal that this is continuing. I mean, I hope I can make some sense.
No, TK, that is your point of view. I respect that. You know, who am I to hold you in judgment? You know, I have a very simple rule. I mean to say there is certain basic decency of a discussion. Anything inside those 4 boxes, I am okay. I am perfectly okay. Just be civil to each other. Just be nice. You can make your point of view. You can even fight, but fight in a way so that you can come next day again on my program, so that you can see each other. And you know, don't say to me, you know, I just can't sit with this person. You know, till then everything is okay with me, Dr. Gite. Firoza, you wanted to come?
Yes, I totally agree with Ms. Kwete. She said that that it is the total failure of the will of the New Delhi or will of Imphal. But my question is, like when she said that even kuki farmers should be allowed to do cultivation, is there any, even police personnel are not able to climb to the hills? Forget about the civilian. I do not know anyone other than civilians and the police. And then we should accept that there is a complete failure of state as well as New Delhi. We are never pinpointing that there is a failure of New Delhi, be the central forces, because we are scared, because they are powerful. We are just targeting the weakest in these narratives. They are the police. So I do not agree with that, because as of now on ground report in the print media and in the visuals or whatever, wherever information we are getting, sir, nobody is able to climb the hill. Forget climbing the hill, sir.
Okay, let me leave the, okay, Firoza ji, let me leave the hill part and let me leave the plain part. You know, a lot of comments have come. I just need to ask this. You know, lot of comments have come, and let me ask this. What is the problem? Chakmaji, and then I'll go to General Sivas. Why can't AFSPA be imposed stringently for 3 months in entire state, weapons recovered and done away with?
Well, because that shall amount to taking action against an Biren Singh government. And that is why BJP is not willing to take actions. They are just waiting for the God, for God to come down and say that, you know, problem is resolved, and it is going to be resolved. I think in the beginning,
Chakmaji, God help those who help themselves.
Absolutely. And the center is not willing to help itself. And I think I want to come and make one comment which Dr. Guite had mentioned earlier. There are demands from the cookies, there are demands from the métis, but in any situation, at any given point of time, there are always contesting claims. And I don't think they are the root causes to start this conflict. This conflict had started on 3rd of May for whatever the reason, failure of the law and order. Then, of course, as the killings went by from both sides, now they have taken a turn where each community believes that they need to hold on to their political demands. So, initial law and order problem, which the responsible elements for causing riots on 3rd May, now they have become political elements. And I think whatever the reason, the center has just lost the plot. And I don't think there is anybody in this situation. And the biggest problem with this government, the government of the day, is that the bureaucrats do not have necessary powers to take decisions.
So who has the power in Manipur today?
Nobody has. See, with the government, whether it's Narasimha Rao or Vajpayee or subsequent government, the bureaucrats had such an amount of decision making that this is what we will do. And there were occasions
when Lal Denga Accord can take place, when India can overcome Nelly massacre.
No, can I just
No, I just want you to answer that. When Lal Denga Accord can take place, when India can overcome Nelly massacre, when we can when Bodo unrest can be taken over, when India can deal with the issue of Nagalim, why can't this problem be solved? Why is it out of public narrative? ऐसा क्या है कि इसमें बातचीत भी नहीं हो रही है?
See, budgets are taking place. The special representative interlocutor of the central government, as well, which is Ake Mishra, and the director of the IB, Mr. Dekha, they are holding talks. It's not the talks are being held.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is,
You're saying that the talks are at the level of the intelligence and police. It's not a civil society talk which is taking place right now.
yes, please.
It's at the level of the security.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say is that with the earlier governments, one thing must clear that this civilian administration, the military administration, or those who are responsible for decision making, whether it's joint secretary, special secretary, or home secretary, they could take the decisions and say, we'll go ahead with it. You had even the home secretary, G.K. Pillai, overruling the home minister, who also one of the most powerful home ministers, who was P. Chidambaram, saying, I do not agree with this. Now, with this government, the biggest problem is unless there is political clearance from the Home Minister or the PMO, nobody wants to take any decision. So there is a problem with the decision making itself. And the reason why the security forces are not acting even to enforce the rule of law, to subject themselves to the humiliation that security forces, that's because there is no clarity from political leadership except saying that don't deteriorate this.
Fair enough. General Sivaj, are you
that's the biggest situation.
So General Sivaj, is this the issue? The lack of clarity from the political establishment is leading to unclear security drills and unclear security action. Is that correct? The sniper gun in use is just a manifestation. It's like fever, bukhar hai, but that's not the root cause.
Yeah, very correct. See, I'll tell you as to how these things have deteriorated. Initially, it was a law and order problem. But the fact that so many weapons have been lost and of the Manipur rifle, there are about 4,000 to 5,000 and another 3,000 to 4,000 weapons came from Myanmar. So the whole environment is charged now. Now this problem is graduated up from a law and order problem to a militancy problem also, to the extent that there are militant groups on the either side, whether it is Metis or Kukis. They are now equipped with weapons, and there is a mistrust between both the communities, and both communities are taking law in their own hand. And to an extent that when we compare it with any other insurgency, there the insurgency is that you are fighting against the insurgent. Here there are two communities fighting, and it is mixed. It is very difficult, to make sure that the fight between these communities stop, and then you take action. And that's not happening because there are weapons on the either side, and the weapons are of a high caliber, which are not easily available even in the high militancy area. So this is the biggest problem. And now the question comes: how do we get these weapons? Of course, we have to get these weapons in case we want peace and combing operation. Whether Armed Forces Special Power Act should be invoked, this can happen in the sense a decision has to be taken at highest level. That this area, if you have Armed Forces Special Power Act, then it can only facilitate the operation for a time being. The issue which we are trying to convey is that in case you have to do a combing operation, you have to get this weapon. In case there is no Armed Forces Special Power Act, the magistrate has to go with you. There are certain rules and regulations has to follow. You follow that in case if not. But what I am trying to convey is on Kuki, on Methi side, on the hills and the plain area, both sides the weapons are there. It is not one side
today
there,
the whole
not
purpose,
other side.
General Saab,
Therefore, until us is not taken out, it will not
General
bring
Saab,
the peace.
Today, the whole effort, my effort was to get the attention of people in various parts of this country to understand it's not about just looting of weapons. You have to understand what weapons have gone out.
Absolutely.
People have to understand. People were thinking, अजीब आदमी एक sniper gun पे 1 घंटे का discussion कर दिया. नहीं. You have to understand that this is not part. This has never been used like that. LPG, mortar, AK-47, guns which are used by special forces, they have never been looted. 4,000 weapons have not been taken. Look at Kashmir theatre. Look at the theatre of Manipur. The weapons which are out there are weapons which are used in war. LMGs have not gone. Heavy weapons have been taken away. The guns have been taken away.
True.
Explosives have been taken away. The grenades have been taken away. They are being used by civil society activists or civil society militants. And these people are not allowing people who want peace to operate because they are exerting pressure. It is for this reason I today say that the Kukis or MLAs should have gone to Imphal. But they didn't go to Imphal because there was community pressure. I am not saying that Biren Singh government did much to invite them or make it hospitable for them, but then that act of courage was also not there. The session, एक तो एक दिन का session बुलाया और दूसरी तरफ आप गए भी नहीं, दोनों तरफ से failure है. So that sniper weapon is a symbol of a larger failure. The sort of things which have gone out, and we will continue to do this debate. You know, we will continue to cover Manipur in its earnestness. No, it's not about that it's a war theatre and, you know, people come and watch us. It is about a fact that in the world of social media, where wars like Ukraine get reported and fought on the net because the dynamics is changing, we have one place which needs to be reported in its complexity, entirety, in its own narrative, in the voice of its own people. And I think the lack of it in the larger national narrative is contributing to the problem, Brijesh. Don't you think so?
No, I agree. I mean, you know, there is a degree of hesitation in reporting about it. There's a degree of hesitation, you know, to reports in its entirety, to report the complexity, and that is very much clear. And I think, yes, you know, when people say one of the key challenges is, you know, if you remember when Amit Shah came, you know, he said that give me 15 days of peace. One of the key challenges which is now emerging is these guns, because, you know, a gun in the hand of a person who, I mean, you know, in a moment of madness can wreak havoc on the very fragile situation which the state is.
I would only say that these are not guns. I would say, let us play these pictures out. Pure pictures screen pe le aiye. These are not guns. These are weapons to be used in war.
Weapons of mass destruction in its limited sense.
These are weapons, and these weapons are out, and every step must be taken to get these weapons back. My personal view is, and my view, I don't say it's channel's view or Brijesh view, my view, army should be empowered for special operations in Manipur to get the weapons back. This is Kartikeya's view. I don't say it's view of any other person, my channel. This is my personal view. Indian army, our officers must be empowered for some time with special protection to do a Manipur operation to get these damn guns back. Whether they are with Nagas, whether they are with Kukis, whether they are with Meiteis, it doesn't make a difference, because Manipur has to do best. Manipur has to be out of it. Manipur has to be what it was 4 months ago, 5 months ago. I think that's the moral of the story.
With all this gear, you must be wondering if I'm climbing a mountain. Well, let me give you a wider look of this place. This is Asia's largest mountain of shame.
A mountain of waste, almost the height of the Qutub Minar.
When you enter capital cities of some of the biggest countries in the world, you don't have 3 garbage mountains waiting to welcome you depending on whichever side of the city you enter from.
The thing is that a lot of times we talk about landfills only when there's a fire at the landfill. You need to understand that a landfill is at fire almost throughout the year. It's only when the firefighters are not able to douse the fire is when it actually catches the nation's attention, the city's attention, or media attention.
The towering landfills worsen one of Delhi's biggest problems: pollution.
यहाँ पर आप रात को आओ, दिन में आओ, आप 1 घंटे बैठ नहीं सकते बाहर। इतनी धूल, प्रदूषण, महक, आप खाना भी